Well, we have a chain on, rear wheel. So I ordered a circlip kit, and in there was a 20mm circlip, or a bunch of them, which I've fitted to the sprocket as a temporary measure. I tried drilling through that sprocket, but believe it or not, there's a centre steel bit and an outer steel bit and no connection between them apart from the moulded rubber, so you just drill straight through the rubber. So you can probably see one hole there, so I drilled a hole through. The alternative is to buy a 520 sprocket from Andy Molnar Racing. So he seems to be the only people in the world that do a 520 sprocket for a Panther. But at 60 quid I thought, nah, I'll probably leave the new owner to do that. Got a bit of a chain issue there on the bolt head, so that bolt will have to come out, and I'll have to shave some off the length of that. It's still going to hit the swing arm though, but yeah, there you go. Be a bit different when it's got a bit of weight on it though. That rear wheel will come up a bit. So that's progress on the rear end. Rear end almost complete apart from the brake, but I can't put the brake on until I get this green stand out of the way, because it uses one of those holes that one of those bolts goes through for the torque arm. So I have to wait to do that until I get it down off the stand. And then the other development is a front end. So front end all built up. So there's the 5mm spacer. So I used Dave's press next door again, and basically I completely pressed that shaft out, put my new washer in with the bearing in, and then pressed the shaft back in, so I get 5mm there for a 5mm spacer. So 5mm less engagement, but it means that everything up the top here in terms of a spacer and the nut works properly. Of course, no seals on these bearings. It's a race bike after all. We don't bother putting seals on steering heads for race bikes because they had friction, and I remember when I was spannering for phase 1 endurance up at Donington, we had a mad rush because some Somerset Swede had basically put headstock bearings in one of the P&M race bikes with seals on it, and Ian Simpson was the rider. He was complaining about a bit of vague feeling from the front end, and it turned out to be the seals. So I spent a manic 10 minutes in between practice and qualifying cutting the seals off the bearings, and yeah, that improved it for him. He had no complaints after that, so that's why we don't put seals on them, because they do interfere with the steering. So I've got some new rubbers, so you can see there that the yoke, if it contacts the frame, is not going to mark the frame because the rubbers are there. But what I didn't anticipate was the clip-on interference on the bolt heads, so they are now the first things to interfere with the frame, so I've put another rubber up there just temporarily. But it comes back to the thing that there's actually no lock stops on this frame. No provision for them to put them anywhere. There is a small fairing frame to go on these mounts here, but it's just nowhere near substantial enough to act as lock stops, so I won't be bothering. So I've got the forks dropped right down as far as they'll go in the yokes at the moment. I know that's going to be too long, so those forks are going to protrude up through the yokes, but that's no problem. So that's, you can see there, it's like a bit like a motocrosser. But I've done that just to get it. I propped it up on this piece of wood to get the front end in. Now that piece of wood is loose because I've dropped it down until it the tyre contacts the floor, and then done these pinch bolts up. So next job is to get this bike off the box and onto the ground, so both wheels are on the ground, and then take the green frames off, at which point I will need to support it all with a paddock stand or something, and yeah, then we can get a bit more serious about doing things like getting the carbs on, and then it's basically going to be exhaust on. I haven't even offered it up yet, so I don't know if that's going to fit or not, but looks like it might have a chance of fitting. That is the exhaust bracket there. Yeah, so get the exhaust on, brakes on, carbs on. I've actually decided I'm going to purchase a Brembo front master cylinder. I'll try and get a second one hand off eBay, which will basically be off a Yamaha probably. They're all mostly Brembo. And if I get a radial master cylinder, I know it will be man enough for the super duper calipers that go onto this thing, which are sitting up on the bench over there. But yeah, got a few days now of basically just getting a few bits and pieces on, brakes, carbs, get it off the stand, and then it's bodywork time. So tank, tailpiece. I haven't even offered the tailpiece up to the frame before on this, and then it will be a case of front fairing bracket and getting the front nose cone fairing mounted, and from there moving on to the lowers, which there are no brackets for, so I'm going to have to make up some fairing brackets, which is not my favourite job because it can be very, very time consuming and frustrating to do, but I kind of have to sell this thing at least with some fairings mounted onto it. Yeah, so that's where we are at the moment, and all looking rather splendid.